If she purposefully did this, y'all need to go figure out how, when, what, and why, so that y'all can use this for the future, because if not, the situation has a big potential to happen again. Don't you see how it kind of ruined this season? And you have the nerve to say, well, I'm not finna try to. You should. Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind news. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. I do want to talk about the producers of Love is Blind and how they've been doing a little trickery, okay? As well as Uche exposing some of the behind the scenes of what was going on. But before we get into that, I did want to mention Miriam, who was featured on this season, and she had a very awkward scene with Uche. On my first review, I remember mentioning her and saying it was so awkward how ambiguous and secretive and mysterious she was being about whatever skincare business that she was opening. He asked if it had anything to do with dermatology or selling skincare products, and she was like, no, I'm offering a distinct composition. And just the way that she worded that, and it seemed like she was evading saying exactly what it was, it left a lot up to the imagination. And unfortunately, a lot of people thought that she was selling skin bleach, and I did not want that to be true. A lot of people wrote that in my comment section, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I hope that's not it. Like, I would have been so disappointed if that was it. So I decided to go ahead and do my own research and find out what it is that she's selling. It turns out she's the owner of Zach and Lucy, a line of hand and body butters. Miriam is a chemist, and she's had problems with having dry, inflammatory skin. Because she had a difficult time finding moisturizers that really helped her, she said that she turned to traditional African beauty practices, and her butters are filled with natural ingredients, organic plant butters, oils, and things of that nature. I don't understand why she was being so evasive when speaking on that. Maybe she didn't want anybody to steal her idea before she had a chance to really take off with it. But this was excellent promo, because we wouldn't be talking about it the way we were otherwise. I'm so glad to hear that it's just natural body butters. I low-key want to purchase some from her because I just want to support black business, and I also hate there was a lot of controversy around it. So go get your body butters from Miriam, okay? So next we're gonna move on to Uche, because he has been expressing himself a lot on social media. He has been getting a lot of backlash, and I feel like a lot of it he brought on himself, because his reactions were his reactions. I will say reality TV will edit things in a certain way, or they will create storylines and, you know, piece things together to fit the narrative they're trying to present. I'm not saying that's what happened with Uche. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna ease up just a tad, just a little bit. Let's just get into it. So someone commented, I'm assuming on his TikTok, and they said, I feel like the producers manipulated the heck out of this. It was messy. And he said, yes, production forcing me to keep my past a secret, then editing out the part where I reveal that I wasn't allowed by production to tell the truth was an interesting decision. And I was like, so that made me do a little bit of Googling, and I found this article from People, and it is one of the producers named Chris Colin. He decided to go ahead and speak on the whole Lydia and Uche controversy, and pretty much confirms what Uche said. I'm going to link the interview down below. I'm not going to read everything word for word. I just wanted to give a little bit more insight as to what was going on behind the scenes of what we saw play out on the show. They asked him, how did Lydia and Uche manage to both get cast? Is there a vetting process to ensure exes aren't cast on the same season? And basically he said they go through great lengths of extensive vetting process to make sure this doesn't happen, but they're not perfect, so this one just happened to slip through the cracks. So you truly didn't know they were exes? They said they had no idea. The intention is that we have a pool of people that don't know each other. We have a few instances in the past where the people are on the same side, like it's two women who know each other a little bit, but we haven't had, to my knowledge, on the other side of the pod that knew each other, and we've never had, to my knowledge, people who have had a relationship in the past. It's just mind-blowing that this is the case, and truly shocking on day one that information was delivered to me. Y'all, I don't know how much of this I really truly believe, but okay. The next question is, what went down on the day production discovered Uche and Lydia previously dated? We immediately stopped them, pulled them to the side, prevented them from going back into the mix with the other pods, and brought them to a separate interview room. We said to them first, I don't know how this happened. This is awful. I know you've planned to be here and you've gone through this whole process, and now you know each other. I don't know how we can continue with you in this experiment, and I know it sucks. They're like, you mean you're going to send us home? We said, we don't know how you can continue. And they're like, we want to continue. Each of them said we have no interest in dating the other one. Both of them spoke very glowingly of one another. Both of them said it was kind of on and off, but no interest in moving forward. We really want to find someone that is committed to this. So they said they had no interest in dating one another when Lydia asked him, do you want to start from zero? Did y'all actually go back and watch the footage, or did you just take their word for it? Because clearly Lydia still wanted some of Uche. You can't tell me no different. And at first I thought Uche didn't want no more Lydia. I don't know. After seeing how he was questioning whether Milton was ready for marriage or not, were you really not interested in Lydia at all? I do feel like there were a little bit of feelings there. Almost feeling like he had to protect her in certain instances. I'm just like, I don't know if I believe that. I think they should have went with their first instinct. If this situation did go down like that, they should have just go ahead and pulled Uche and Lydia from the experiment, or just started all the way over with a new group in another city or something, because clearly this situation has now been tampered with. And you have Lydia, who pretty much is being a mole in this situation, like secretly trying to ruin whatever Uche is trying to build. You know what I'm saying? And tampering with another contestant's experience. So I think that was the wrong decision to keep Uche and Lydia in it, even though it was for our entertainment, but it did kind of mess up the rest of the season. So basically they told them, if you are going to stay, then you're going to have to keep this a secret. Also, they weren't allowed to interact in the pods ever again. So therefore they had to focus their attention on the other people that they were forming connections with in the pods. Not only could they not tell the people that they had connections with, but they couldn't tell anybody else in their respective pods. You know, I did come down kind of hard on Milton and Lydia for not sharing that, but now it makes sense. That they had to keep that a secret in order to be able to continue to participate. And so, okay, I was giving them grief for that, but it turns out that was production. They weren't being deceitful in that way. I still think Lydia was dead wrong for making friends with Aaliyah, though, because you still went out of your way to be that girl's friend. And then when Aaliyah came in crying about that whole cheating thing, you were influencing her, saying certain things about him, saying that he can't judge you, and basically throwing things out there as if you knew him. I feel like she should have been reprimanded for that, because once again, you're tampering with the experiment. So then they asked the producer, why were they able to disclose their relationship to Aaliyah and Milton in the pods? Basically around day 6 or 7 in the pods, they saw how deep those connections they were getting with their respective partners, and they didn't want them to get in too deep, I guess, without having disclosed this information. And so they finally gave them the blessing to go ahead and say it. Do you think Lydia and Uche secretly knew the other was participating on the show? I have no idea. I know pretty much everything they said plays out on the show, but I don't know the truth, and I'm not an investigator, so it's not really worthwhile for me to go back and forensically analyze what happened there. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because it ruined the integrity of the show. If she purposefully did this, y'all need to go figure out how, when, what, and why, so that y'all can use this for the future, because if not, the situation has a big potential to happen again. I could see if me as a viewer says, well, I don't really care to play Inspector Gadget to figure out if she did this or not. But as a producer, that is your job, ain't it? At least hire somebody to figure that out, because you need to know for next time. Don't you see how it kind of ruined this season? And you have the nerve to say, well, I'm not finna try to. You should. When Aaliyah announced that she wanted to leave the experiment, how did you react? It was very clear that they had wanted to see each other in that moment when Uche was thinking he was going to propose, because they had talked about seeing each other. Then Aaliyah, very much to everyone's surprise, decided to leave. We set the date for them. We weren't going to come in and relay a message from Aaliyah. I don't even know if Aaliyah had her thoughts fully composed at that point. Aaliyah just said she wanted to leave and she wanted to go home, and that was it. Lydia was driving her crazy in that pod. That's all that told me. For her not to really have discussed that with any of the production, because you know they would have tried to talk her down. For her to just be like, I just cannot take it at all, I have to go. It had to have been weighing on her mentally. Will this Uche and Lydia drama impact the way you approach casting in the future? Basically, he said he gonna do his best to avoid that. You need to take a magnifying glass and look into Lydia. That's what you need to do. Anyway, so that's it for that article. That did kind of give a little behind the scenes knowledge. I feel like either they're too careless with the process and the behind the scenes of what's going on, or they're trying to play dumb. It's just so hard for me to believe that y'all didn't know that Lydia knew this man. What type of vetting process do y'all do? Because a lot of that, I'm just not buying it. But anyway, let's move on to this little Q&A that Uche did on his Instagram stories. Someone asked him, when will you be able to talk about the show without consequences? He says, I'm allowed to speak on anything that has already been released so far, as long as it's the truth and not a spoiler for unreleased episodes. And I believe Uche, he knows his contract. He's a lawyer. And the fact that he's saying all this stuff, he knows that there's not going to be any sort of penalty. I'm sure he knows his rights, and he is not going to say anything that's going to get him sued. Before I read this, I was wondering, I'm like, you really like exposing a lot of the behind the scenes of what's going on. Like, he was letting the chopper sing, child. Someone asked, after watching a bit of the show, did you see how Lydia made Aaliyah feel? He said yes, and if I could have seen that at the time, I would have done so many things differently. I feel like you should have had compassion, even though you didn't know exactly what Lydia was doing. You know how Lydia was in her relationship with you, and you know that she a little bit off her rocker based off of what you told Aaliyah later on in these episodes, okay? So you should have already had that compassion there. It shouldn't have taken you seeing it in action. And plus, even when Aaliyah told you how Lydia was acting, you still wasn't trying to see it from her perspective. You still weren't trying to hear it. You was all, you gonna let this girl come in between us? Someone asked him, would you have stayed? Like, if you were Aaliyah and you were going through this situation, would you have stayed? He said, I got conflicting information on what was going on during the pods. Watching it back, I think Aaliyah was brave for staying as long as she did. I would have 100% left too, and I don't fault her for that. I just wish it had been communicated with me. She didn't owe you nothing. She didn't owe you nothing. I know y'all connected, all right? But y'all had only known each other for like a week or so. She just met you. And then all of a sudden you have this girl coming in. It seems like y'all are in cahoots. And then when you're telling her stuff, you're not telling her the full story. And here come Lydia telling the full story, or you know, she don't know what to believe. So yeah, it would have been nice if she did, but she didn't have to at that point. Because it just seemed like it was deception all the way around. But I will give him this, hindsight is 20/20, especially when you can watch it back on TV. I still can't get past how you reacted. Why did you tell Aaliyah it was over? Was she not what you expected? Looks wise. Now, this was really interesting to me. He said, it's over between us. is a post-production soundbite. At lunch, we both forgave each other, we held hands, and we shared our first kiss. Then we agreed to date outside of the show. Now, this is where production is very deceptive, and how they can edit things and take things completely out of context in order to fit whatever narrative they want to fit. Because the way they made that dinner look, it looked as if he was just completely nasty towards her, which I do think he did have his nasty moments in that conversation. But for them to end on a note where they continue dating, yeah, that is not what was portrayed to us at all. And then to take a clip that didn't happen in that moment and put it there, yeah, that's completely trash. Like, but we know how reality TV is. You know what you're signing up for, in essence, when it comes to these things these days. But I just didn't like how they portrayed that. I know you can't show us the full, like, hour conversation they have, but at least give us the real essence of what happened. And I would have liked to know that they dated after that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like they do that sort of thing out of spite. I feel like if Uche and Aaliyah agreed to be engaged and, you know, do the whole altar thing at the end of the season, I feel like they would have been featured on the show, and, you know, they wouldn't have gotten that edit from this conversation. But because it ended with them only dating and they couldn't really get much footage out of that, I feel like that's why they went ahead and gave them that ugly edit. What is your current relationship with Aaliyah? We're on good terms. I really, really hope Aaliyah is not still in a relationship with this man. He probably can't truly release that information just yet because the season isn't over, and maybe they're going to do a reunion. I don't know. But I really hope that Aaliyah looked at this season and realized that this man is just as manipulative and deceptive as Lydia. I really hope she can see that. Did you cheat on Lydia? He says, no, Lydia and I were never together. We dated for a short time and were both seeing other people. In the casting process, we were asked to disclose who our most recent relationships were with. If she believed we were in one, she would have disclosed my name or photo, and the producers wouldn't have allowed both of us on the show. The reason why she didn't is because she wanted to be on the show with you. Why would she tell them that she dated you? Then she wouldn't have been picked. That's why she didn't say it. Deep down in my heart of hearts, I don't believe they were in an official relationship where he said, you're my girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. I don't think they were in anything exclusive. I do think he knows that she treated the relationship as if they were. And that's why she said he cheated. A part of me feels like Uche was leading her on, because there have been several moments where he's mentioned that relationship in a great light, where he's mentioned Lydia in a great light and talked about how trustworthy and how much of a good person she is. She was all up in your house. She knows all of your business. I don't care how short the relationship was. I feel like you might have been giving her some of the girlfriend treatment, making her feel like y'all were in a relationship. I really do feel that way. So y'all might not have been official, but the way that you treated the situation, could she have gotten the wrong idea from that? Do you really think Lydia followed you there? 100% confirmed. I brought up Instagram because this was the method. More on this later. So I'm assuming maybe next episode or at the reunion, all of the receipts are going to be presented and she's going to be exposed. I would really love to know how he knows 100%, because I have been feeling it ever since all of this has been revealed. I felt deep down inside that Lydia did this on purpose. So I can't wait to see proof. Like, I want to see it. Anyways, you guys, I just wanted to go ahead and present y'all with all the information that I found, because it does kind of put things in a different light than I originally thought. Didn't change much. I still feel the same way about Uche. I still feel the same way about Lydia. And I still feel so sorry for our girl, Aaliyah. I feel like she deserved so much better and hope she can heal from this. But it is nice to have a little bit more context to the situation. And it's just further proof that these producers, they be sneaky with the editing and with, you know, whatever's going on behind the scenes. They know how to create the drama, make it look much worse than what it actually is, and then present it to us as if all of it is on talent when y'all have a big hand in what's going on. But let me know what y'all think about this down below. I would love to hear your opinion, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.